as you were. I can't tell who said, hey, Lynn. Oh, hi. Welcome.
Is your mic on, Lynn? Yeah, there it is.
Welcome. No, I don't think it is. I don't know where the switch is.
It's on. It's on now.
It's on.
Oh, it's on. Welcome. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. It looks like about 75% masks. That's probably not a bad idea. So our first tripoder tonight is Danielle, and she's self-taught, a Tacoma-based photographer. She has dabbled in various art forms over the years, but photography has always been her passion. She enjoys capturing many different subject matters, including landscape, travel, street, portraiture, documentary, and black and white photography. Tonight's presentation will focus on textures and patterns. Danny?
Hello. I'm a little nervous. Bear with me. So I just want to talk a little bit first. I know I've met quite a few guys in here. I recognize a few faces, but just want to give a little blurb. So I was just going through a lot of photos, and I was like, gosh, you know, I've got so many of these, but I've hardly ever actually shown them. Am I too quiet? No, it's lights. Oh, lights. Lights. Lights, please. Yeah. You got to see the pictures. There we go. So anyways, yeah, I've taken tens of thousands of pictures over the years, but hardly anybody's actually seen them. They're more just kind of like a collection, kind of hoarding pictures, so to speak. But I take pictures of everything that catch my eye, daily things that maybe not catch other people's attention. So I thought tonight was perfect for details for my textures and patterns. So I thought you guys might appreciate it a little bit more. You're artistic and like to look out for stuff, and then maybe even encourage you to look out for those things yourselves. So, let's see, I can go over my notes, make sure I didn't miss anything. I think we're good. So this is my self-portrait to get us started here. And, I'm going to kind of make a little game out of this, too. So if you guys recognize some things, some are obviously a little more recognizable than others, but maybe some of them are a little tricky. And if you guys guess it, you know, shout it out, and you might even get a little prize for it, too. Yes. So, let's see. I'm pushing the button. I know this happens like a lot, huh? There we go. No, I think that we skipped one, did we? I think we skipped a couple.
No, just go back, push the back button.
There we go. Okay, that's the next one. So, I don't know if you guys can tell from the picture up here, but this was really fascinating. It was Tumwater Falls, and it was right after we had that huge ice storm a couple years ago, and the ice was just coming down in these huge shards. But what I found awesome was just the way the ice formed around the ivy leaves and stuff. It kind of enhanced that, so I thought that was pretty cool. But even through the whole textures, like you see the rock and the ice and the trees and the leaves and all of that, I just found that really fascinating. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, there we go. So this is the first one. Who recognizes this place? Library. No, not quite. It has books, yes. Anybody? It's over by, do you want a clue, maybe? You guys are missing all of them, but they boast themselves as Washington's largest used books. Yes, by the Dome. I think maybe we can take that as an answer. Who said that? Raise your hand. Just throw them randomly. Sure, yeah, I got a basket. Who wants to hand out my candy? Anybody? Oh, no? No? Okay. There you go. Okay.
There's a tax, though.
You can take as much as you want. I filled the whole basket up. Okay, so moving on. Can anybody tell who this is? What this is?
A lot of toothpicks?
Yes, toothpicks. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I know. I thought it was very organic the way they sat in the cup, so I thought it was pretty cool. So we got that. So Lynn got it. Good job. Someone said cactus quietly. Who was that? It's cactus, yeah. Somebody said it. I heard it back there. Not going to own up to it? No, no free candy. Okay. Yeah, it was this huge cactus that I saw in an arboretum down in outside of Phoenix. Actually, it was really cool. So this one, along with the textures and stuff, I find layers really fascinating as well too. So this is an old abandoned house and a ghost town, but I loved it that looking through, it's a door within a door within a doorway. And then on top of that, the other thing I really like to capture is the constant fight between human and nature, and how nature usually takes over. And I love capturing that. So that's part of this photo as well. Yes. Not a beach, no. But it is their shotgun shells, yeah. Yeah, and it was up by near Greenwater, yeah. But it's just, it's one of those photos that is both beautiful to me because of all the colors and everything, but it's also, you know, it's like I said, there's a bunch of garbage everywhere. You know, people bring up like, you know, TVs and all sorts of stuff and shoot them up there. And they just leave it, so there's all this trash out in the, you know, the beautiful Greenwater area. But it's kind of has its own beauty in its own way too, with all the different colors to me. So, yeah. This shot, I have this favorite spot I like to go to that's on the ramp going down from the plaza from Broadway to Commerce, where the bus station is. And you can look straight down. And I love this because there's usually people that aren't looking up. And I love the combination of the tile work and the bricks and how everything kind of ports. And then it just happened to be this day that I was there, this man was there. And of course he let me take his picture, and I love the way it turned out. Okay, this one should be easy. Where did I take this one? Point Defiance, yes. Doug, you gotta let other people answer. You already have the basket of candy. All right. Yeah, jellyfish, yes. Because I thought they were beautiful. All right, what's this? Football. Who said football? Yes. Nice. Yeah, you can see the texture of the ball like this, where it grips onto it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is inside a lava tube. And the walls, you can see where, like, as it was forming, it kind of dripped down, especially in the center area there. So it looks almost fluid, but it's not. It's just from the lava as it cooled. It's really cool. It is not. It's from the Craters of the Moon. Yeah. Craters of the Moon in southern Idaho. Yeah. So there's this thing. It's a technical term. Do you guys know what it is for seeing faces and things? Yeah, it's pareidolia. Yes. And I find that I sometimes inadvertently and sometimes on purpose take pictures of things like that. So you're going to see a couple of those in here too. At least to me. I see a face. I don't know if you do or not, but.
Could you say the word again?
Pareidolia. Yeah. I had to look up the pronunciation because I couldn't do it right. Yeah, well, I didn't the first couple times. Anybody guess what this is? Abalone? Who said abalone? Somebody did. Yes, it's abalone shell. Take a couple. Yeah, there's a lot, so take a couple. That's fine. I don't want to go home with all that. Okay, who else recognizes this? It's another place here in Tacoma. Rialto, who said that? There you go. I mean, they're next to each other. So again, going back to nature versus humans, I love finding things that are starting to break down. And this is one of the construction sites. It was part of one of the construction vehicles. And I loved, because it looked like a painting, to me anyways. And I really like the textures of it and everything, just how it naturally eroded and the scratches and everything, so. Yeah. Yeah. I love just the combination of textures in this. There's so many times where I take pictures where they invoke your other senses. So, whether you can, in this instance, like I can feel the softness of the moss or the sliminess of the slug when I see pictures. So that's why I included this one in here. And that's just, I like the way it looks too. Yeah, another interesting perspective, it was down on the port. We may or may not have trespassed when we took this picture. But I really liked a lot of the construction equipment, so I got some cool shots down there. And I just like the perspective of this. This is my ode to Monet. Yes. You can actually see the stems underneath the surface of the water, too, if you look at it. So this is just a crosswalk, yeah? Whoever said that? Yeah. I just like the perspective of it, it's again one of those day-to-day things. I was walking in a Target and I looked down and I saw this and I was like, oh, this is great. And I just actually took it as I was walking just with my phone. But it's one of those just moments where, once again, I see something and I just take a picture of it. And with no purpose for it, it's just something that catches my eye. All right, who can guess what this is? No? It's kind of tricky. I had never seen this before, and it was by accident, complete accident. I had made scrambled eggs and did not wash the dish right away, and this is how they dried. So, it was worth it, though, because I got a cool picture out of it, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, I really liked it. In fact, there's a lot of, I didn't actually put too many in this time, but I do take pictures of like empty dishes after I cook because there's pretty cool patterns in it. I only included a couple this time, but this is one of them. Okay, this is a local destination. Is anybody over here? Wright Park. Everybody gets candy. Go on, Doug. Yes. So I just love the perspective here of like the trees and the trees and trees, and then like the dapple light coming through and the leaves and the bark, and I just loved all of it as a whole. And it kind of reminds me of Narnia too, with the street lamp, so.
You can take a piece of candy on the way out.
Yeah. Okay, some of you guys might recognize this artist's work. Does anybody get it? It was from probably about 9 or 10 years ago when this person made it.
Is it on a building?
Yes, chicken wire and... You're not going to Lynn? It is, yeah. Yeah, it's the rooster that Lynn made. Yeah. Yeah, it was the Chinese New Year. Yeah. Yeah, that Lynn made. All right, another local destination. Who's got this one? No, not McMiniman's. No, not McMiniman's. It's not the Pantages. Everybody? Nobody? Okay, are you guys ready for the answer? It's Landmark. The Landmark Convention Center, yeah. Yes. Yeah, and when you get up to the top story, you can see all the way down. Yeah.
I don't know Landmark.
Oh, it's, yeah, Temple Theater, it's Landmark. Yeah. Yeah. They have that lovely carpet. Yeah, exactly. You can smell it. This was one that was used in the announcements. I don't know if you guys figured out what it was. Yeah, it's right before water boils. Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of see the steam building up in the bigger ones. Yeah, boiling water, that's it. I just thought it was really cool, like eyeballs. Yeah. It does, yeah, yeah. I know. I kind of recognizing some of the artists in the past. I can see kind of some influence. Who can tell me how many animals are in this, not including their reflections? Hmm? Hmm? I know they kind of blend in. Yeah, there's a heron, that's correct, and I hear turtle. There's 2 turtles. Who said 2 turtles? 2 turtles. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's 2 turtles, one on each side, and then the heron up top. Yeah. And that's in Wright Park. Yeah. So this was just a little home experiment. I was just playing around. It's just milk and oil and food coloring, but I just thought I'd like to kind of play around and see if I could create different textures and patterns and colors and stuff. So, yeah, this is what quarantine does. It gets you inspired at home. Another local place? Anybody? Stadium. Who said stadium? Somebody way in the back. Chocolate. All the way in the back. Yes, Stadium High School. Yes, Trillium. I love these flowers. I love the simplicity of them. And the OCD in me loves the 3 on 3 on 3. That just is perfection. Exactly. Yeah, I know. It's perfect. Yeah, yeah. So this is just my curtains in front of my blinds, but it was just coming in like the perfect light one day, and I had to capture it. So it's just something, one of those moments where you're just kind of looking around and, oh, thank you. Yeah. Oh, I'll take that. Thank you. Woohoo. So I can't take credit for the actual art that's here. This is a glass artist that I bought, and I'm wearing another necklace by the same person. I bought about 15 years ago at a farmer's market, but I just love the texture inside of it and the colors and how beautiful it is, and I thought that would be a really great photo. I'm not quite sure what they put inside of it, but it's beautiful, I think, so, yeah. I've got one on right now, so it's a little bit wider than this one. This one's a bit narrower, yeah, but it's a little bit wider, and that's only a portion of it, like because it's curved, so I kind of had to crop it a little bit. Yeah, this one I kind of find almost ominous. It's another one that reminds me of Narnia. It kind of draws you in, invites you into this path of the unknown, and you don't really know where it goes, but I really, really like that one. Okay, there's another local favorite. Anybody? Yes. Yeah. Right? Yeah, somebody at the back said it too. I love it. We were just talking about wigs too, actually. Yeah, you find some real treasures there. Yeah. At the B&I. Yes. So this is at the ocean. Who can tell me what they see in this? I feel like this is a Rorschach test. This is another one of those, the paradigm. Yeah, it's just another one of those things where I see a face in it, but I was interested to see what other people saw in it. Yeah, it's interesting. Everybody has a different answer. Yeah. It's kind of this. I almost see like this weird goat thing with like a like pointy ears and like a chin coming down and like a horn. I don't know. It's different every time I look at it. Yeah, it's just, how like after the waves go away and it's like the sediment that comes down and then the waves kind of wash it through so it creates the patterns. Yeah.
Did you see something in it when you took it, or did you see that after you had the picture?
after I did, actually, because I had taken multiple pictures because I just liked the different variations of the patterns when we were at the beach, and it wasn't until I was actually going through them afterwards. And that's why I chose this one versus the other ones, because I saw something in it, and I thought maybe others would too. I hit the button, let's see. I don't want to skip anything. I'll try it again. There we go, okay. Yeah, it's just a basket, but it's just another one of those daily objects that, we see or use or don't think about. And it's just one of those moments where I was like, oh, I love the texture on this once again, the textures and patterns. It is another basket, yes, but a different, and this one I see a face in as well. It's almost like a cartoon character to me. Yeah. Yeah, shopping basket, yeah. Yeah, it's lava. Yeah, I heard two people. There's somebody else back there that said it too. Yeah, this is again once in the craters of the moon. Yeah, somebody else back there said lava. I heard it too. Yeah, once again, this craters of the moon. It's such a harsh environment, yet some of these plants still find a way to grow, and this was one of them. So I really like the combination of it. Yeah. Yeah, at first it kind of looks like bark until you really start to look at it, and then, yeah. Yeah, that's just one of our sunsets here in Tacoma. Yeah, but again, I see a face. Yeah. Yeah, I can see two. I see the dark one as like a luminous, or an ominous figure, and then the one underneath, I see a duck. Yeah. Anybody guess what this is? A glass? Who said glass? Over here? Yeah, you did, yes. It's a bottle of at the bottom of a beer stein, and it has the little orbs on the bottom but I held it up in front of our blinds, and that's how I got the kind of eyeballs in there. And it was by accident. I was drinking. I finished the glass. I was there. It was water, by the way, not beer. Yeah, sure. It is, yes, the Painted Hills in Eastern Oregon. The Painted Hills in Eastern Oregon. Yes, beautiful place. Yeah, but they're quite large mountains. You can't really see the scale here, but it's very large. I can't unsee. My mom said it looks like a foot, so I can't unsee that now. I see the toes now. Mom calls it God's foot. That's a good question. I think it was late afternoon by the time we got there, and then we had to drive in and then hike a little bit. So I want to say it was late afternoon. Yeah. It's a bit of drive to get there. I don't know the name of this. I just like the way it looked. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine anemones, but yeah, once again, Point Defiance. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. More faces, I agree. Does anybody know what they are? Cactus. Yes, cactus. Yes, but I see them more as kind of like totems or pillars. I see the same thing, the faces and stuff. You're slacking. Right, everybody's got to get some. Another local place? Who's got it? Chambers, yes? Yep. Yeah, you candied out. Yeah, that's Chambers Bay. Yeah.
There's a kind of room scout and diabetic seizure. There's an osprey nest on that.
There is actually, the same day I took this, there was a nest, a different picture I have of this, but I went with this because it was more symmetrical.
What is it?
I don't know quite all the history. I'm sure other people do here, but it's the large pillars that were part of the mining, right? Is that right?
Pioneer sand and gravel.
Yeah, there you go.
Most of the roads in the area are built from the gravel pit, and they were used that as a structure to help convey rock out the barges from the middle of the facility.
Thank you. I knew a little bit, but not that much. Oh, everybody, nice. just toss it. Yes, I actually like this because it kind of reminds me of an enemy. It's kind of got that underwater animal feel, but at the same time, if you really want to read into it, like the plastics in our oceans and stuff like that.
Microplastics dispenser.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. But it looks very much like a sea creature to me.
How did you get that technique to make it look fluid?
It's just the focus of the camera, so I had a really, really tight focus. So it was a very narrow depth of field. And I used a macro lens, so I got really close to it. So I only got like the tops of the straws, and then everything else just kind of blended into the background. Yeah. This is once again shooting my dirty pots. But it reminds me of like a sun or a planet. Like I have a lot of these ones where after I'm done cooking, they look like a moon or a planet or whatever. So I really like this one. Yeah. I'm showing you my dirty dishes. Yeah, just a shell, but I just like a shell, just a seashell. Yeah. Yes, mailboxes. Yeah, and it was just one of those moments, again, just taking the mail to the post office. I saw the patterns, and the numbers are actually off a little bit in there, so it kind of messed with my OCD, so I kind of cropped it down. But yeah, just another one of those daily moments that you walk by something and you just kind of register it, but you know, when you actually stop and take the time, you can, at least I appreciate it. So we went backwards. What's happening? Okay, here we go. Yes. This is another one that invokes my senses as well, and childhood memories too, that I still do to this day. If I find them, I pop them. I don't know if you guys ever do that. But this moment, or this photograph, just brings back those moments, and like I can feel the seaweed in my hands when I see this. I love that. Yes, walkway through the Painted Hills, yes. Yeah. It's such a stunning place. And this is my last one, yeah. Yes, but it's faded so much that the little girl does not look very sweet anymore.
Where is that located?
This is in a tiny town in Maine. It's called Orland, Maine, if I remember correctly. And it's this whole entire building, this guy bought this old barn like 40 years ago. And he continued to collect all of these signs and decorated the whole entire outside of the barn. And somebody had told him one day, he's like, oh, you guys, you just must really love this barn. You know, why are you doing this? And so it kind of became the nickname, and it's called the Love Barn now. And so it's just this massive barn in the middle of nowhere off of a side road in Maine called the Love Barn. And it has all these cool old faded signs and stuff on it. And no matter what side of the barn you're on, it's just fascinating to see all the cool signs and stuff. So yeah, so that's the end of it. So thank you. Any questions? Yes, sorry. Questions? No? Yes, in the back? Oh, yes. Hi.
What you using for a camera?
I am shooting with a Canon Mark IV, the 5D Mark IV, and various lenses. Yeah.
So it's got interchangeable lenses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, I really only shoot with like 2 or 3 lenses, but I have a couple specialty ones. So like the macro lens I used on this for quite a bit of them, yeah.
How many megapixels does it have, do you know?
32, I think, 30, something like that, yeah. So there's a lot of older pictures in this too, though. So I had some from my camera that was like 12 megapixels. So some of them were a little grainier upon closer inspection. But
Do you ever have to say, oh, I'm sorry I'm late, I was taking such...
yes, my boyfriend and I, we take road trips quite a bit, and we always take the side roads. We don't plan anything. We're like, okay, we have 2 or 3 days, whatever, and we're just going to get in the car and go somewhere. Sometimes we have a destination, like we flew into Boston and drove up to Maine and back, but it's all side roads, and then we can just stop at any moment if we see something. So a lot of things are impromptu. So yes, we do end up late a lot of times, but it's okay because we're both fine with it. So yeah. Anybody else? Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Seeing that candy passed around reminded me of when Doug Mackey, who was passing out the candy tonight, did probably the most popular show we ever had. And the title of that show was, is it Tacoma or Aberdeen? Some of you saw that show. It was pretty funny because Aberdeen has a lot of empty storefronts too. So next up is Jeffery Brown, and he's doing the show that is the collaborative tripod show, and that's where many of you sent images of the simple things, everyday things we use in our kitchen or studio or offices. So Jeffery Brown is a natural polymath. Does anybody know what that word means?
Do a lot of stuff.
That's right, learn a lot of stuff, I guess. Or Renaissance man, mentored by many from a young age. Formally educated in engineering, real estate development, and art, he finds it easy to express himself through planets found primarily in the 5th, 6th, and 7th house Western astrology format. Architecture, music, writing, singing, and songwriting all bring enjoyment and self-expression. Public speaking is a preferred platform for sharing thoughts and ideas, fertile land for sharing his expanded awareness. But it's through his imagination and intuition that he received the most insight, and this often is found subtly displayed in the quick sketches on bar napkins, or a melody of words in a pocket notebook which reveal a loving relationship or special moment. He has traveled quite a bit for work in the past and is focused on throwing out an anchor in the Pacific Northwest, so he's new in town. New to the West Side, having arrived just last July, he feels his destiny unrolling quite naturally and the synchronicities multiplying. Friends are falling in place. Fractals in nature and proportions are attractive to Jeffery. So, Jeffery, want to do your show?
Thanks, Lynn. I forgot I wrote that. Isn't this a special event? How about a big round of applause for Lynn here? You know, I really need to thank Nancy Palicki. She's here because it's because of her that I'm here. And we met at Browns Point one day in July, right after my arrival. And so this is a presentation, Lynn's idea, and she asked me if I could do this for her, and it's quite an honor. But it's simple things. Everyday objects from our lives, non-organic, artistic in form and function, things we take for granted every day, not objects of intentional art, nothing from nature like food. And these images, if you allow them to, will provoke some thoughts, possibly triggering something from the past. And, you know, thoughts are things, so you may experience some synchronistic type of bridge to the future, who knows? But just sit back and watch these photos roll out. And again, a real special thanks to everyone that contributed. I'm going to do my best to recognize who contributed each of the photos. But some of these at the first here, obviously this one, I think everybody knows. But there are several here that I didn't know who contributed. So if you contributed and aren't too embarrassed to say that you did, then speak up, or maybe your friend will. So thanks for helping me. So again, I don't know who contributed these. Yeah. Yeah. What is that? Yeah.
Well, it is the key to the sardine can.
Ah, did you hear that? There's another kind of key.
John Carlton.
John Carlton. John Carlton again. John, are you here tonight? Thank you so much. Now this is interesting. I learned a new word here. This is obviously a piece of chocolate. Does anybody know what that paper is called? I may be pronouncing this wrong, but it's called Caetus. It's spelled Caixetas. Caetus.
What language would that be?
Good question. Now that is just the Caetus. So we'll have to assume that the photographer ate that chocolate. The shadows were really nice.
What is it, a stainless steel?
Ball bearing.
To me, that looks like a ball from a bearing, you know.
More points for lighting.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Again, simple things that we probably just don't think about. Now, these are a series of asphalt photography, and again, I don't know who took these. So if
I think John took them. I want to tell you just this fast little story. I was on the freeway in Tacoma at one of those places where they changes the lanes constantly, and it was raining, and the light was shining on the freeway so that you couldn't tell where the lines were, because those were yesterday's lines and the day before and the day before. And it was dusk, so the cars couldn't really see. And that made me realize those simple lines everywhere that we have on the road that we do take for granted are so important. Like on the freeway, if you're not on the right lines, you're going to hit another car. So I had that talk with John, and he took this series of photographs, right, John?
Yes.
I'll see you in a minute, John. Yeah, and the symbology here as well. So that says only 2 directions, okay, left or right. And here you're boxed in. So everybody will have one of these one day, right? Don't cross the double yellow line. Now, this one came from Rosari. Are you here tonight? Thank you so much. A ball of twine. This came from Becky. The next few did. Do you know Becky's last name?
Phrase.
Becky, are you here? No. Well, thanks, Becky. Again, from Becky, all of these. Now, this one, I learned another new word. Does anybody want to know? Do you want to know, or do you want to guess? You know what it is, right? It's called I think I'm pronouncing this right. It's called a muselet. A French word that means to muzzle. Isn't that interesting? The pin cushion, a couple of them from Becky there, and the pins too. You have a very simple thing. Again, from Becky. And you can tell how it's easy to get thoughts from these images. Now, Lynn said this wasn't so simple. And I contributed this, of course. So,
And what is it?
it's a Blu-ray speaker, you know, and the more I thought about that comment, I said, you know, this isn't very simple. However, it is something we sort of take for granted today. You know, you can pick one of these up at Walmart. By the way, the town I grew up in was the 3rd Walmart. How's that? Doug knows about that. Yeah. I contributed this too. Lynn, is it okay if I read that poem? Sure. Great. So when Lynn first approached me, you know, I had this brilliant idea that people should be forced to write poetry on their simple item that they contribute, and maybe that would get the number down or something. But here, I wrote this a long time ago. It's called Bookmark. I wrote it before I found this. I've never been to Hawaii, but maybe that's a sign. So, Bookmark. Heaven-sent connection, both in need of healing. A simple introduction, dual attraction like magnets. Spiritual seduction, sleeping so relaxed. Hold you in my arms, complex entanglement. Healthy rejection, patiently trespassing. Childlike quality, ever-present, synchronistic events. Friends flowing in to rescue from the darkness. 2 souls intertwined, dripping with love. Place a bookmark at this life chapter, a daily reminder to return. Your best friend is your lover. Turn the pages quickly, experience each fully. Truth is in the skies, I'll be at your side. Just to be of service as we need to be, waiting for the page written to becoming one. Thank you. So these, I think everybody knows what that is. Let's see, I'll get you the name of this contributor. Yeah. No, no. But there's a connected theme throughout this presentation here, so let's see. That was, oh, Pam Orizum. Did I say that right? Yep. Orizum. Pam, are you here? Okay. Well, thank you, Pam. How about that one? Anybody want to guess on this one?
That one here's Danny?
Yeah. A ceiling fan. That's from Lynn. That's from Pat Schumann. Pat, are you here? Thank you. Anybody know what that is? A spring for a cot, and that was contributed by Mark Monlux. Mark, are you here? Well, thank you, Mark. And this came from Kaki, a curtain light. And this is an iron from Davis Freeman. Do you want to go back? Again, from Davis Freeman. And there's another fork. The incandescent bulb from Davis Freeman. And a lock, also from Davis. A mirror. A neon bulb. A salt shaker. A scale. Screws and washers, a teapot,
New York City.
toilet.
Seriously.
It looks painted, not spoken.
Yeah, and this is a contribution from Lynn, a desk bell. And this is from Danny, doorknob. The drawer pull also from Danny. And I'll let you guess on this one. This is from Ed Kumo. Is that Ed? Are you here, Ed? No. Do you know what this is? Anybody? I don't have any candy. Rug beater, yeah. Carpet beater, yeah. Carpet beater, yeah. These are eyeglasses. Rosemary contributed this. Are you here, Rosemary? Were you all here when she played that stand-up bass and did all? Wasn't that incredible? Chris Wooten provided this, and this is a, does anybody know what this is? A what? Do florists use those? Yes. And this is from Kaki, a glove. And this is from Danny. And this was contributed by, is it Jeannie Hale? Is that right? It's a hassock footrest or ottoman. Jenny. Are you Jenny? Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it's really beautiful. Talk about textures, huh? A Hole Punch by Chris Wooten. And these next two are from Dale Chestnut. Dale, are you here? Yeah, it's a halibut hook. Halibut hook. And this, does anybody know what this is called? Well, now, according to Dale Chestnut, this is called a circle hook. It appears to be a fishing device. This was a photo of mine. That was actually taken in a place I had in Eureka Springs, Doug. And that's an incense burner. Yeah, that provokes some thoughts, doesn't it? Did everybody play jacks when they were a kid? That was from Chris Wooten again. Yeah, some tape. And Jamie contributed this and the next few photos. Is Jamie here? I don't know her last, or is it he or her? Me. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jamie. I think this is a little easel, or like a thing to set up a picture frame, maybe. Isn't that a simple thing, you know, an eraser? That's from Jamie.
That, by the way, was a rodent hammock.
Did everybody hear that? A rodent hammock. That was whoops. That one, that's a rodent hammock, yes. That's funny. Just a simple coffee cup, right? From Jamie. Yeah, different type of bottle opener. And I think this is either from Jamie or from James. I'm not real sure. James. Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah? Well, thank you. And this was described as a Japanese store cup. This was contributed by Carol. Carol, are you here? Well, thank you. This one was contributed by Jennifer Shaw. Jennifer, are you here? Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, this was contributed by June. June's not here tonight. Everybody knows June, right?
June Sagaguchi.
Yeah, another Arkansas native. Her and if you were here last month, her partner had a presentation that was awesome. You can see that on YouTube. And now's a special time for our audio-visual person. How about a round of applause for Erik? He's here every month. Thanks, Erik. He does a really good job. Kitchen wooden spoons, contributed by Ann Darling. Are you here, Ann? Yeah, thank you. This is from Claudia Reidner. Claudia Reidner, a lighter. Reidner? Thank you, Lynn. Claudia, you here?
Well, what was that red thing?
It's another hammock, I guess. But Danny contributed this one, so thank you, Danny. Let's see, Marcia Mahaffey? Marcia, you here? Nope. This one's also from Marcia. Oh, sorry, did I get that wrong? Who said this is me? Okay. This one I contributed, just a different type of measuring tape. Claudia contributed this. It's a mechanical pencil. This one's from Kaki, our next presenter. Yes. This is from Elaine. Is Elaine here tonight? No. This is from, help me with this pronunciation, G. Utes? Greg? Yeah, are you here, Greg?
No, he's not.
Okay.
Piece
Piece of paper. Here's another one from Claudia. There's another pen, also from Claudia. And this is from Kaki. Plastic cups. And this is from Greg. Lynn contributed this. This is from Kaki. I thought this was really nice. It has an iridescent look. Did somebody say oil? Yeah, oil and water. That's funny. This one I contributed. It's called a scale. It's a tool a draftsman might use for drawing in different scales. But a theme that I've seen, hopefully you've noticed, and Scotch tape, yep. Not sure who contributed that. Anybody? This is from Greg. And this was from Mark Monlux. Another one from Claudia. And we're back to this toilet theme again. Tom Holt. Tom, are you here? Yeah, thank you. This was from Kaki as well. Isn't that beautiful? And this is from Marcia McAfee. Yeah. It's a wax paper dispenser, yep. So that's it, your presentation of simple things. Oh, sorry.
Anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
What's the total number?
I'm sorry?
Total number.
You didn't count? No. Oh, I think it was 103. Eric might help me. I went over my 50 limit there, but I got approval. Hey, thanks again, Eric.
How much?
106.
106. How was that? Am I in my time?
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
So were there other people besides Doug that sent things in that we didn't see?
Oh, sorry.
Well, not your fault. They just disappeared on the internet. Okay. So I can't help it. I'm driving around all the time, and I see things that make me go, oh, I wish somebody would do a slideshow at Tripod on only blue houses. So be thinking about that, because when you drive around, you'll see sort of a pale blue house, and you'll go, oh, that could be in the show. And then the next house you see is like day-glow blue, and you go, that house for sure. Maybe I won't use the one that's pale blue. So if you have an idea for a show, let me know what it is, and we'll see if it fits into a program. So before I forget, I wanted to tell you that Dick Weiss and I are doing a community workshop at the Museum of Glass, May 22nd. And they invited us to do that in collaboration with the Glass Conference that's happening in Tacoma this year, which is a big deal. At least the Glass Conference part's a big deal. What we're doing is helping people make lampshades out of existing lampshades by cutting them apart and then sewing on recycled plastic. And I call this stuff kitchen plastic. It's the stuff that's soft that you can sew and very pliable. And we can make lampshades into art objects in case anybody still uses lamps. Okay. Where's the piece of paper that used to be right here that helps me introduce Kaki? No problem. So next up is Kaki Shields. She moved to Tacoma recently from Ashland, Oregon, and she's lived all over the place. It probably says that here. In fact, it says Kaki is recent to Tacoma, having moved last summer, although she is not new to the area generally. She lived on Lopez Island and then Seattle in her 30s. She has also lived in Sonoma, Cambridge, Tucson, and Juneau. Her most common day job has involved creating and teaching classes for schools, including a charter school, special ed program, and a continuation high school. Although she has also made a living as a potter and a window display designer. In fact, years ago, I've known her for a really long time ago, years ago, maybe she was going out of town and she let me have 2 of her jobs decorating jewelry store windows, which was really fun. They were small windows. The job that looks best on her resume, however, is managing an ice cream parlor in Juneau. She says she has always spent time making useless objects in quite a few different places and using quite a few different materials. She'll be talking tonight about what ties all that together, at least from her perspective. Kaki?
Hi, I can't see you, you can see me. So I really like objects. And I even like pictures of objects, but actually I like objects more than pictures of objects. It's been an interesting combination tonight because if you really think about it, some of these pictures are actually the object, right? Because they are more about the lighting, the composition, than they are about what's in the picture. And then some of them are just pictures of objects. And that's kind of one of the things I want to talk about. I brought a bunch of objects with me. And is it light enough? Can we bring up the light a little? I'm gonna pass these around. I don't think they have COVID cooties on them, okay? But if you don't want to handle them, don't. Lynn's gonna be my assistant here. Here we go, ball of string. This is something I bought in Seattle in the 1980s. I paid $1 each for 5 of them at the Goodwill at Pike Place Market. I remember it that clearly because I thought they were so beautiful. And for some reason, I have carried them around, although now I'm down to 3, ever since. So that is already telling you something about me and objects, right? I think that because we live in such a digital world now, we have lost a lot of sense of the magic that objects have. And that when you look at these pictures, for example, look at that chair, it's the same size as the chopsticks, right, in the last series. We've lost a lot of sense. It's just information, and it's bad information. So there's a great book called The Hare with Amber Eyes. It's about a family that held on to a collection of Japanese sculptures through World War II, even though they lost everything else in the Holocaust. It was written by Edmund Duval, who's also a ceramicist, and this is what he says about objects. Objects have always been carried, sold, bartered, stolen, retrieved, and lost. People have always given each other gifts. And objects carry stories with them. It is how you tell their stories that matters. So I'm going to continue to pass around some objects because I think there's nothing like having them right there in front of you. And I'm going to show you pictures. This is an object I found in an alley in Tacoma last, I guess, fall. And I went by it a number of times, and let's face it, it's beautiful just like it is, right? It has a lot in common to me with that ball of string. I especially like objects that have been discarded, or they're flawed, or they're unprecious somehow. Long ago, when I was mainly working in clay, I was introduced to a Japanese aesthetic idea called wabi-sabi. Are people familiar with that? Some people, wabi-sabi? Okay, so wabi-sabi is the idea that you can find beauty and meaning in the absolutely simplest thing, in the flawed thing, something impermanent, the thing that reveals the patina of time and the acceptance of transience, including the transience of life. And of course, that chair exhibits all of that, just like it is. However, even though it's perfect, after a while I needed to take it home and do something to it. And that is a reference to something Jasper Johns, the artist, once said when he was asked, so how do you make art? He said, you take an object, you do something to it, and then you do something else to it. I love that. So this is what I did to this chair. I took it home, and I started thinking about how you lose coins, right, and your keys in the cushions of a chair, and you can't find them, and you get all worried about it. And it's a little like, especially if you travel around, you lose people or places in your life as you get older. Do you remember them? Sort of? Yes? No? They all inform the story of your life. Those different pasts mingle with your present, and yet you're the one who's telling the story. So is it accurate? The back cushion, which you saw there, whoops, okay, well, the back cushion, close up. I was trying to go, yeah, so there it is. So what I started doing was simply incorporating bits of my past into this chair. I used photos, letters, my grandmother's lace handkerchief, 2 wedding rings. So it's an object that is now full of other objects. And for example, in the seat, in the seat, there were springs, right? And so what I did with each one of those springs, I decided I would just tell a different story in each spring. So there's 9 of them, there's 9 stories. One is about my time as a hippie on Lopez Island. One is about my grandfather's death in Ireland, and on and on. One is about my son who's sitting back there. I would also say I don't actually like showing you pictures for the reasons I talked about before. Because this is a big chair. It would be much better if you all came to my place and you walked around the chair and then you could see what was on the back and you said, can I sit in this chair? And you looked at it really closely and you found the little tiny things because it's full of little tiny things too. But even if you did that, you would never see that chair the same way I do, because I have the history of those pieces, of what's in it. Here's an object you might recognize from the chair. Maybe you can give one side and one on the other. These are fish skins. Thank you. That's perfect, Eric. These are fish skins. Fish skins. When I was in Juneau, living in Juneau, it was the first time ever I had seen things that you could wear and use made out of tanned fish skin. So I taught myself the traditional way to do it. It's the Yupik people up there. This is a picture of my hallway with these various skins, mostly salmon, but the really pale one, you could bring the lights up so people can see maybe what they're, yeah. The light one, I think that is probably sole or halibut. But the Yupik people made things like amazingly beautiful bags and even mittens and waterproof boots out of fish skin. And if anybody at the end of this would like to know how you do it, I'd be happy to share the technique with you then. Back to the chair. So it tells a story. And one of my favorite definitions of human beings is that we are storytelling animals. That goes way back to how do you survive in the world and how do you teach your offspring how to survive. We tell stories. We all tell stories. And I think that what artists do in general is they choose an idea or an object. They do something to it, as Jasper John said, because they want to tell you a story, which may or may not be obvious to you, the person who's looking at it. And actually, to be honest, it may or may not be obvious to the artist who is making the piece. Sometimes they know what they're doing, sometimes no. Or sometimes they just produce something that has a different effect on people. But if you're really successful, a piece of art communicates with the audience at some level, and at its best, it allows the people who look at it to experience something of what the artist saw when they were making that piece. So we see things in a new way. 2 more quotes. This is about looking at art or anything, actually. Henry David Thoreau said, "It's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see." And then my favorite, Robert Irwin, California artist, said, "Seeing is forgetting the name of the thing you are looking at," which is very much like meditation too, right? So seeing is forgetting the name of the thing you are looking at. More projects that have to do with memory and stories. Okay. I brought this book with me. Lynn's going to hold it up. We could pass it around, but it's very fragile, so you actually can't open it. So maybe if you want to look at it, you could just come up here later. But you can look at what's inside it. This started out, I bought this, of course, also in a junk store, $25. Screaming deal. And at the time, I was thinking about how my sisters and I, when we talk about these, we did the same thing, right? We were at the same Christmas dinner, and we remember it totally differently, right? That kind of weird thing where you're in the same place, but different perception. And so I started thinking about different places I'd lived and friends, and I started wondering what they thought about all this. So I created a postcard. Oh, and the back of the postcard, all of them, look like this. And I sent them to friends. And the back of the postcard says, "The times we had. Please send me this postcard and tell me about it." And I put my address on it and gave them a stamp and waited for them to come back. The front of the postcards, and Lynn, you could pass that box around. These are postcards that didn't make it into the album. The front of the postcard always featured a picture of me and that friend, the one I had sent the postcard to and asked to send it back. So we have there's my date for the junior prom. There's my goddaughter on 4th of July. There's my freshman corridor at college, somebody I hiked with a lot. There's an ex-student of mine. We're at Folsom Prison A lot of people sent them back, and a few people didn't, which also was kind of interesting. If they went into the book, this is what they ended up looking like. This is Marilyn, someone I used to hike with in Alaska a lot of times. There she is, and there I am, the second shadow, right? And then the back looks like this. It was really fun to put that together. And that's really related to something, the most recent project that I've been working on here in Tacoma. Like I say, when that whole thing happened, yeah, and you could send one around one direction, one around the other. When I was working on the chair, I started, I had all these letters and things I was looking at, and I thought, why don't I do something with these finally? And as it often happens, I went to Goodwill, and there were 12 cardboard boxes that all fit inside here, like a Russian doll, right? And there were 12 boxes, so I decided I would do 12 themes. If you put this whole stack up, it's about this tall, all right, when they're on top of each other. And does it surprise anybody after listening to me talk about these other things that I have saved lots of letters? I'm sure it doesn't. And it also probably won't surprise you to know that, strangely enough, I mostly saved flattering letters. Hey, it's my story. I get to tell it the way I want to tell it, right? Okay. So each box has a theme. The two that are being passed around, well, one of them, and you're welcome to open them because they're covered on all sides, backs, forms. You can read them. Some people find that really creepy. So that's okay. That's a good reaction. One of the boxes is friends, communications from friends. One of the boxes is things from artists. One of the nice things about working in the arts is you get a lot of really cool stuff from people. And you hopefully get to end up doing something with it. But each box has a theme. One is the family. One is love letters from just before my first marriage. One is letters from prison. So you can see that stack, or even if you want to go to the final one, this one that contains them all, you could say that's the whole story of my life, right? Sort of told by other people. And the reason this one looks the way it does is if you've been in some of the oldest libraries in Europe, they will cover the oldest books with vellum or with paper, plain white paper, so that it protects what's precious, what's inside. So that's kind of the idea of this. When I turned 70, I celebrated a couple of ways. I got a tattoo. And I also wrote a little book and self-published it. Oh, wait. You know what I haven't shown you yet? And maybe I'm like, oh, there we go. That was, of course, the boxes inside each other. They really do fit. And this is just the covers, just the tops of the boxes in sort of a spiral. Okay, so I self-published this little book. It's called Confabulations, Fantasy Versions of Life. And I'm going to read you just a little bit of the introduction. One definition of confabulation is the confusing of real memories with imaginary ones, which we all do all the time. So while each of the stories in this book was inspired by a real event, each ended in fiction, full of exaggeration, extremity, and new endings. In other words, fairy tales. Please remember that in case you recognize anyone. And the reason that is the introduction is really because I had just read a retelling of the Grimm's fairy tales by the author Philip Pullman, who's great. And what was really good were his notes about fairy tales and why fairy tales continue to fascinate us. And why? Well, they're short. They don't have a lot of extraneous description, and they have a plot, And guess what? You know who's good and you know who's bad. So I started thinking about my own life, if it was told, pieces of it as a fairy tale, and my friends' lives, all of whom have some, interesting stuff going on. And I just started going once upon a time, and then telling stories. I did have a few people where I'd say, do you like this story? You know it's yours. And they went, what? So anyway, I'll pass this around. And I'm going to show you this slide, because this is what else this was really based on.
Are we passing this
Oh,
around?
sure. They're short. You could read it fast. No. There are only 2 or 3 human stories, and they go on repeating themselves as fiercely as if they had never happened before. Willa Cather. Second, the story of our life is not our life. It is our story, which I really like that one. Roland Barthes. And in the end, we'll all become stories. Margaret Atwood. Now, we've come full circle, back to that writer, the ceramic guy, Edmund de Waal, writing about objects at the beginning. And this is what else he says. It's not just things that carry stories with them. Stories are a kind of thing, too. Stories and objects share something, a patina. And perhaps patina is the process of rubbing back so that the essential is revealed. The way that a striated stone tumbled in a river feels irreducible. But patina can also be additive in the way that a piece of oak furniture gains from years and years of polishing. And that's kind of the patina that artists try to add to objects, I think. So how am I doing on time, Lynn? Because I have written 2 endings to this story I'm telling you tonight. How am I doing on time?
You're out of time.
I'm out of time. Okay, I think I'm out of time. This is the story. This is the one you're getting. I would love to show you a few samples of other things I've made out of objects. Always objects that are regarded as non-precious, like skulls, like discarded books, like weeds and bark. But I don't have time to do that, do I? So I guess that's another story. Okay, any questions?
What is your full name?
My full name?
Is your name your formal name?
Proper name.
My given name is Catherine Wessling Shields. But I've been called Kaki since I was very small, although the interesting part about that is when people used to ask me why I was called Kaki, I always told them, oh, it's because my brother couldn't pronounce Kathy because he had a little speech impediment, and so it was Kaki. But when I was probably 27, I told that story in front of my mother to someone. We were traveling together. We were actually in Japan. And she looked at me and she said, that's not true. And I had been telling that story my whole life. Anyway, she had nicknamed me that because she had named me Catherine, but she decided Catherine was the name for a dark person, my mother being blonde also. And so that was a nickname from a friend of hers in college. Anything else? Yes.
At home, I have boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of things that comprise my life. With the work that you do creating stories, do you find that you reduce the amount of material you have, or do you merely reorganize it?
Well, that's a really good question. Actually, this box one was a great project for me because I basically decided everything had to go in that box finally, and if it didn't, I'd throw it away, and I did.
That's great.
Hard to do.
I
Hard to do.
believe you.
Okay.
It's inspirational, though.
Yeah, good. All right. Any other comments or questions? You don't want to know how you
So,
Do
afterwards,
fish skins?
Kaki will stand up here and you can come and look at this stuff and she'll tell you what kind of a skeleton this is, for example. Thank you. So there's a sign-up sheet back there. If you're not getting the emails advertising these shows, you can put your name on that, and I'll put you on the list. And the next tripod is May 20th, so that would be the third Friday. And that will feature Davis Freeman. He's here tonight. And the title of his show is All My Life I've Been Planning My Escape. And then the Sister Cities program in Tacoma has an annual art competition for high school kids, and we'll be looking at the work of those kids. And then the last thing we're going to do, does anybody here, or did anybody here see the videos Lanny, Lisa, Lawrence made? They were compilations of people dancing in Tacoma to certain rock and roll records. Raise your hand if you saw those. Well, they were just so spirited and so much fun. So we're capturing a few of those off of YouTube and playing those May 20th at the end of that tripod. And you're going to love seeing them. And people we know are in those videos because you could just jump on that train. So thank you very much for coming out tonight. We'll see you May 20th. Kaki?
Could I have everything back, please?
Thank you. Hang on a second. What, Duncan?
The Living Treasures PBS thing that you were involved in is going to be on this week, I think, or soon.
That's right. There is a series of half-hour made-for-TV videos, and I helped produce them through an organization I belong to, Northwest Designer Craftsmen. So if you go to YouTube and type in Living Treasures, you'll see the videos of these internationally known artists and advocates. They're beautiful videos, professionally done. Thanks, Duncan. Yes, one of them is on Channel 9 this month, or maybe two of them. Ron Ho, jeweler, and Lloyd Herman, art curator. But I couldn't tell you by memory what the times are, so you'd have to look at that Channel 9 schedule. Thank you.